Complicated question. I think I'm always in the process of figuring that out, to be honest. But to sum it up in the easiest way, probably just a young chef looking to make my mark, honestly. Trying to grow off of things that I've learned, but honestly to do my own thing. And it's tough to do in this market. It's easy to start out as a young chef and have these big dreams, but for me, I think who I am is more passionate, but kind of relaxed passion. You know, I like to showcase the passion, but you know, I don't want to. I don't put myself in certain situations where it's, I guess, dangerous as a chef. You know, some chefs kind of take it too far, I think, with certain dishes and flavors, and they try and overthink things. So I try and keep it passionate, but within the boundaries of what I've learned in my career, which is keep it simple. So that's probably the best response I could give. Well, I was very fortunate when I grew up. My dad was actually a very renowned attorney, and so we did grow up with a bit more experiences than some other kids might have as far as food is concerned. We were able to go out to really nice restaurants. You know, we cooked great food at home. Me and my mom would cook a lot of food, but I think I learned by going out to all these different nice restaurants what great food really was. And I was very fortunate, you know, to be able to go out and do that. But I just remember going to certain restaurants and kind of getting this weird feeling, you know, this weird kind of inside feeling where, you know, this is really cool. You know, this food is awesome. And I was 10 years old and I have no idea, you know, what ossobuco is, but eating it, I could understand what it was. You know, I could develop these tastes and these flavors, and I thought it was just so incredible, you know, to see this food and these chefs and these restaurants. And that started to get kind of a little inspiration going. And so around 13, I honestly started just cooking at home, just making a huge mess in the kitchen. And growing up in Asheville, North Carolina, I was able to find some really cool products around farmers markets and even catching local fish. I love to go fishing, and so I'd catch fish, you know, bring them back home and just butcher it up completely, make a huge mess in the sink, mess up the entire kitchen. And it was a lot of fun though. You know, I learned by doing it, you don't always have to cut the head off first. You know, that's kind of the mistake I always made, and there'd just be blood everywhere, and it was a nightmare. But I learned, you know, by failure, how to do it right. And growing up like that, I was able to kind of develop my own fun flavors and techniques, and I would pick certain things and grow certain things, and kind of started to get into like smoking and grilling the fish. It all started with that fish though. It all started with just trout, rainbow trout. I'll never forget that though, because I would catch them all the time, and I would try and figure out different ways to prepare it. Never wanted to ask for help though. So some days it'd be completely ruined, and you know, I'd act like it was okay and eat it. Other days, you know, it'd be great, and I just, through that, developed my own way of finding the failure and success process of how to do it right. And I think a lot of it came from eating at those great restaurants and thinking, what would they do? You know, how did I have that fish before? Oh, you know, they had dill and butter and you know, they pan-seared it, but how did they sear it? You know, and I would try and figure out, and I can't tell you how many I stuck to a pan and had to throw away. But yeah, you know, at 13 years old, that's fun. And instead of going out with friends, I was kind of cooped up in a kitchen trying to learn how to make risotto. I was determined to learn how to make risotto. And finally, you know, I can't forget the day I did it. I think I ran it around the house asking everybody to try it, and they were convinced it was just rice, but it was risotto. It was a true risotto. And yeah, that's probably some of the earliest memories I have, and that grew into something where I wasn't sure if I could turn it into a career. There was a lot of pressure in my family to be an attorney, to go to school, to stay in school, go to college, do the typical thing, get married, have kids, be an attorney, and call it a day. And instead, I kind of went my own way and left most of that family behind, sadly, because they weren't seeing the same vision as far as being passionate, having the ability to come into work every day and care deeply about what I'm doing based off of ingredients and flavors and passions, and trying to take who I am and put it on something instead of just doing a 9-to-5 career. This isn't a career, it's not a job, it's a passion that you have to prove yourself day in and day out, and that's the big draw of it to me. In high school, I was never the popular kid. I never played any big sports, was never, the jock team or never the nerdy side. I kind of just was in the middle, and somewhere that I found a lot of fun was, it was called Foods and Nutrition class. And I loved that class because we learned how to cook, the basics of it. You learned what grilling was and sauteing, and that was the only class where I raised my hand for every question that was asked, every single question. What temperature are you supposed to cook chicken to? And all these kids are looking around, and it's like, I know. Great creators. I think it was Steve Jobs said something along the line, not necessarily steal ideas, but build off of great ideas. And so as a chef, there's a lot of things that have been done a million times again and again, beating the same dead horse over and over and over and over. How many times can you do seared salmon with pineapple salsa? It's a spinach salad with blue cheese. How many times can you do it in how many different ways? So you kind of have to look at, say, what do people know, what do people like, and how can we build off of that? Is kind of the start of my creative process. What do I like, and how can I represent that in something? But a big thing that I believe is that you need to keep it simple. Part of my creative process is I want to keep to 3 to 4 main ingredients, and that's it. I don't want a list of a long thing of so many ingredients on a menu. I want basically just fish, maybe 2 or 3 components that complement the fish, or beef, or whatever it may be, and that's it. Keep it simple, because I think everything peaks as well. Beauty, people, every single thing peaks. It has its peak. And the basis of being a chef, in my mind, the way to be a great chef is to know when to stop cooking something. That's the entire thing that I follow. When is that asparagus cooked properly? When is this steak cooked properly? When should it be taken off? How long should it rest? That's the basis of it. When do you stop cooking something? Anyone can be as creative as possible. Someone can just focus solely on creativity, solely on passion, and put their heart and soul in it. But the business, might suffer. I think the fun of the business is sometimes balancing that. At the end of the day, it is a business. Everyone is here, in a sense, to take their passion, their creativity, but make food and make money. So you've got to be able to manage that. And you also have to be able to manage people. I don't think saying that you manage the business is such a bad thing, because at the same time, that's growing people. I never want any one of my cooks or chefs to ever stay a cook or just a sous chef. I want to see every single one of them grow, and I think that's part of the business as well. Not just the numbers, but the people themselves. I want someone to kind of be just like me when I was in the kitchen. The aspirations of growing more and more and more, and not being content at just being a cook or a sous chef, to have the goal and the aspiration of growing even higher. And so it's my goal every single day to make sure that I grow those people and their passion, along with creating excellent food. And I think there's a happy medium, and someone can do both. Here at the Gaylord Palms, there was a grand vision to basically create something that's not here. We have every other restaurant we need here under the atrium, but there was almost a vision and a thought of what's lacking, what do we need, what would be really cool to have here, and something farm to table. Follow that movement, farm to fork, farm to table, sea to table, is what we wanted to focus on. We wanted to focus on having as much farm to table product as possible. And so here I am the specialty chef, because this is considered a specialty restaurant in the Gaylord brand and in the Marriott brand. And so what that basically means is we're able to create, we're able to do things different, we're able to kind of break the mold a little bit and go our own way. And if it works, keep doing it. And if we can justify having our own farm and growing our own greens, we're doing those things. And that's very different in itself. And so my job basically here is to control some of that chaos and find that happy medium of what can we grow, what's possible, how much local beef can we bring in, how much local pork or fish, tracking down these fishermen, these boats, and finding out what fish they have on what day, planning ahead, saying, okay, well, Thursday, I know that this boat is getting in with swordfish, so let's bring that swordfish in. And being persistent, not settling is a big thing. If you settle and you say, yeah, it's good enough. As the food and beverage director here would say, and I love his phrase, is good what we're going for? Because he says it needs to be awesome. And I love that simplicity of it. Is good what we're going for? Are we shooting for something awesome? And that's the entire basis of the whole restaurant. What you can expect here is an incredible meal that's been brought to you basically within 100 miles. We're finding all these products as local as possible, but not because they're local. That's a big thing I stand behind. Not because it's local, but because it's good. If it's not good, I don't care if it came from your backyard or my backyard. It's got to be good. And that's what we base the entire restaurant off of. Finding the best of the best. Putting in the best, everything from the silverware to the plates, the china, the furniture, training the servers the proper way and getting them hands-on with the food, having them learn and focusing on the food more than anything else. More than the business side, focus on the passion and the food side. And it's a success. Most memorable moment. There's a lot of funny, memorable moments. Because every chef has had, a moment where you feel great and you feel successful. There's been a great night. There's been millions of those. But as far as terrible moments as a chef that you get through and you learn from, I think that's more memorable to me. And so in Key West, where I came up here from, there was a time when the power went out down there. And a few cooks, thought it wasn't coming back on, so they decided to just leave without saying anything. And so, we had a packed restaurant, and I'm trying to figure out, what am I going to do? What's going on? Okay, let's serve only cold food. We can do that. We can serve cold food. We're going to have to find a way to make this work. And as a chef, it's basically controlled chaos is all it is. But that day, I will never forget getting done with that and kind of looking back and saying, wow, I could have been really bad, but that was a great night. I went out and touched and talked to every single table. Personally, was taking dishes out and explaining and apologizing, that all of Key West had no power, and figuring out a solution to it was a lot of fun. I think that's probably an extremely memorable day because I thought it was going to be the bottom of my career and I was going to have to close doors and walk away, throw in the towel, and instead turned around and made a great day out of it and actually had great feedback and great comments by just quickly figuring out a way to make all cold food items and tweaking some of the dishes and finding ways to make them happen regardless of what was going on with the power. And me and the maitre d' got together and lit candles and put them in the dining room, changed the atmosphere, worked with the servers on the wordage as fast as possible on what we were going to say, why the power was out. So taking a nightmare and turning it into a great day, and I think that was a very memorable experience, honestly.